Hello, Professor. My name is Jacobet Rebecca. I am a third year student from the English department, and in this video, I want to talk about the English education in Indonesia or my country, and I also like to talk about my own English learning experience. I hope you enjoy my video. So, first of all, is English a second language or a foreign language in my country? And the answer is yes, it is a foreign language. So we don't really have a second language, like official language, no. But because our first language is Indonesian, that's our national language. And then if some people can speak other languages, sometimes it is from their own tribes. So because we have so many tribes, and each tribes have their own languages too. So yeah, that's why English is not our official language, because most of the time we just use Indonesian, for especially for something related to the political field, or the something that is more national. We will use our first language. But then in different islands, in different cities, different villages, we will have different languages, like the traditional languages, or we can also say it as indigenous languages. And then we have English as a foreign language that most that is the most well known foreign languages. Yeah, one of the most well known foreign languages in my country. And yeah, what is the importance of English if it's a foreign language in my country? Mostly it is used for international business purpose, and also used in famous tourist places, for example, like in Bali or Jakarta, the capital city. Of course, people will know how to speak in English because they will see foreigners in those areas. Now, moving on to the English level. For now, I want to compare my own English level with other ordinary students' English level. Like, how good is my English? And what about ordinary students? For my own English level, it is currently at B2 according to the CEFR. And I can say that I am great in listening, speaking, and reading, but not that good for writing. It's like just slightly below the other three categories. And for ordinary students, from what I see in my own experiences, and most of the time based on, I cannot really say based on research or some researches, but most of the time the English level for ordinary students are in between A2 to B1 CFR. So it's just slightly below my own level. And for the other students, they are great in listening and in speaking, but not for reading and writing. And I have to admit that our level of like literacy, yeah, in order and not in order, if we're talking about reading some like literature pieces, maybe novels or other books, my country has a pretty low rank. So that's why, I mean, even in our own languages, people don't really read books. And what about English? Of course. So that's why, even like me, my in my own situation, I will still find it difficult to read English books, especially those good English books, because of the yeah, the limited vocabularies that I have so far. And then here I will show you the table so you can see the range of the scores. For me, B2, so yeah, I am just slightly above average, I can say. Because back then when I took my ITP test, the score that I got was 550. So yeah, I am still in the B2 level. Now, for the English program in schools, I tried to show you, yeah, to find some examples. So, because our country, I mean, English is a foreign language. So, I do believe that's one of the reasons why we created our own materials for the English learning. Here on the slide, you can see I have three examples. On the left side, we have the the book, like the textbook for the seventh grader, and in the middle one, it is for the eighth grader, and on the right side, it is for the ninth grader. But here's the funny thing, not funny, just interesting fact that I found when I tried to do some researches about this topic for my presentation. So on the right side, you see it is not it is it is a different edition for the English learning for the textbook, because my our Ministry of Education, they published the English textbook for students with physical disabilities. And I just found out after I tried to take a careful, like, I look on the cover carefully, and then I realized, oh, that's why it says, in Indonesia it says buku guru bahasa Inggris tunadaksa. Yeah, and tunadaksa is physical disability. And I also found out that they also have other versions for students with other physical disabilities too. So I can tell that our country is also considerate in this matter. And more details about the English learning in Indonesia. But for now, I am choosing my own experience to explain about this part. So, for me, I learned English back in my first grade of elementary school, and most of the time other schools also do that. So it's fair to each one of us as far as I am concerned. And back in my school, I had 4 sessions a week, where one session is 40 minutes long. Yeah. And most of the time, we only have non native teachers. And again, the materials are locally made, just as what I showed you earlier in the previous slide. And here in the picture, it is my school, the school where I grew up, where I studied since I was in my first grade until I graduated from high school, senior high school. And yeah, during my whole 12 years studying there, I learn English for 4 sessions a week, and usually it's like 2 days in a week. So 2 sessions in a week. It means I have 80 minutes in a day. And yeah, I only had non-native teachers. Even though, fun fact, my school is a private school, but it is a national school. So, of course, we don't have any expats or foreign teachers. No. And the name of my school is Sekolah Lentera Harapan. Or in English, you can say it as School of Lantern and Hope. And fun fact, I feel like one of the reason why I have this certain level of my English skill, like why I am slightly above average, I think it's also because of the school where I used to study in. Because again, it is a private school, it is a great school. And here in this slide, you can see that so my school is on the top left side. Yeah, this one. And the other schools are under the same foundation, which is called Yayasan Pendidikan Pelita Harapan. Or yeah, the foundation, yeah, like foundation of um, education. And Pelita Harapan is the basically the name, lantern and hope, the same meaning as my school's name. But because my school is a national school. And what about the others? So on in the middle left, it is an international school. So everyone speaks English, and they have many foreign teachers too. I mean, they do have classes taught in Indonesian, but only for a very few lessons, like Indonesian class, or for the kindergarten students. Of course, they need to learn how to speak in Indonesian first before they learn English as a foreign language. And then on the right, top right, it is a, I can say it's like a more like a bilingual school, because it is right in the middle of my school and earlier the international school. So yeah, sometimes I think if I'm not mistaken, they don't use the materials from my government, but they use the textbooks from maybe Singapore. Yeah, but so far from what I've heard, they use the like the other, it's more like they don't use our government's textbook for several reasons. Yeah. Okay. Now let's move on to the next topic about cram schools in Indonesia. So in my country, we have this thing that we call it as bimbel. Bimbel is short for bimbingan belajar, like guidance in studying or study guide. Yeah. So bimbel, uh, yeah, like the study guides in Indonesia are the extra classes students typically need to take in order to prepare for the national exams. Yeah, so most of the time, parents will ask their children to go to the bimbel because maybe they are in the sixth grade, ninth grade, or 12th grade, or maybe even before they are in the final year. But still, If they go to bimbel, it is to prepare themselves for the exams, for the national exams. And we have here, I provide three examples. The first one is English First, or EF. I mean, it's an international company, which I believe everyone knows. And because the name itself is English First, so they mainly focus on giving the students English classes. And for the second one, Kumon, I know that, okay, mostly people know that Kumon is only for mathematics, but no, they also have the English classes too. But these two, English First and Kumon, maybe because those two are foreign companies, so of course they are a bit pricey. But not only because of that. I mean, these two companies, English First and Kumon, they have gained so many trust from the people in my country, from Indonesians. So that's why people will, if they are well aware, like, okay, I want to give the best for my children, so I will send them to study either at EF or Kumon, because these two are trustworthy. But we also have a locals, uh, and here I put it. I'm not sure if they have different companies or not, like the brand, but where for Indonesians, if we mention the words Kampung Inggris, people will know about it right away. But this is the only like logo that I can find. World English, Kampung Inggris. But Kampung Inggris, it, if I need to translate it word by word, it means village English, or English village. So I heard that some years ago, suddenly people, so these kind of videos went viral of the people in somewhere in Java Island, they speak great English. And they suddenly, I don't know how it all started, but it just went like that. They went viral, and now most people there in Kampung Inggris, even the name of the area is Kampung Inggris. People know the area as Kampung Inggris. So they started to create their own study guide, but only focusing in English learning. And they are also trustworthy. And of course, it is way cheaper than the other two, because it is a local company, local organization. Now, moving on to the next topic about English and environment. So here, I have provided four things. The first one is billboard. Second one is the menu, and then we have the signs, and the last one is the ingredients list. So the first one, the billboard. As you can see, this is a billboard in my country, but they have some English words written there. And most of the time, if you go through the, like the toll, you will see some billboards that are written in English, just like this one. Okay, the next one, for menu. I think it's not a new thing. Even like in other countries, I believe they will also have the English menu. And here I found an example from a restaurant in Bali. Of course, Bali, a famous place for tourists. And here you can see they even use the word K. You know, K is like the new slang for thousand, right? So instead of writing 65000, they write it as 65K. And there they also have the English menu to explain the menu, each menu more. The third one for the signs. Well, here this is from our international airport in Jakarta. Well, they have not only English but also Arabic, and then both. Oh wait, um, simplified Chinese and also Japanese, and of course Indonesian. So it's not. It's a common thing to find when you are in the airport of my country. I mean, at least here in Jakarta. The last one for the ingredients. Well, yeah, you can see there. We have so the first three lines it is written in Indonesia like komposisi. Komposisi is ingredients. That's why they write it again on the next three lines. Ingredients, fresh milk, salt, etc., etc. And oh, yeah, they literally put the translation after the Indonesian sentence. So here you can see so in Indonesia they wrote it as mengandung alergen. Lihat daftar bahan yang dicetak tebal. And then they translate it as contains allergens. See ingredients in bold. And for the storage instruction, keep refrigerated between -2 degrees Celsius to -4 until 4 degrees Celsius. Now, for the expectation on English, here I'm going to talk about other people's expectation on me for my own English learning. Let's say from my family, from my parents first. I cannot really say that puts they put expectations on me, but I can see it whenever, let's say, we see some foreigners, and then if parents, they really want us to do something to show that, oh, I am very proud of my son, I am very proud of my daughter once they do something good, right? So yeah, I remember how my parents, especially my dad, he used to ask me to speak in English whenever we meet foreigners, or even when he's on a phone call with his non-Indonesian friends. That's when I think he has some expectations on me. But other than that, I don't really think they have the expectations on my English skill, on my English learning. Just not a serious expectation. Okay, now for my own contact with English. So back in my school, because again, my school is a private school, so we have the partnership with, I remember, some like universities in America, yeah, in the US, like Corbin University. So I remember I was appointed several times to talk with them, like professors, doctors, great people. They asked me to speak with them, to talk with them, even though I'm not sure whether my English was good at the time or not. But yeah, it went just like that. And that was also how I improved my English skills from a very young age. And then on the second picture, like in the middle, there was me taking a picture with my boss. So I used to had an internship in an international school, the school earlier, um, under the same foundation of my school. Yeah, crazy how I can had my internship there. So yeah, this boss of mine, he is Malaysian, and because I didn't speak Chinese at the time, so when I need to talk to him, we talk in English. And yeah, most of the time I feel like, oh, my English is still working because I can talk with people who don't speak Indonesian. And on the very right side, you can see three logos. On the top, it's a game called Growtopia, and I used to play that. And most of the time, I will chat with my friends or even strangers, completely strangers, in English. And on Instagram, obviously, I like to type even like long text in English. That's how I improve my my writing skills. And also on Twitter, I have some online friends who are not Indonesians. So yeah, we talk in English. We communicate in English. And here, the next slide. These are all pictures I took with my friends after I arrived here in Taiwan. Yeah, even though I study in Taiwan, I met so many people who can speak English because National Donghua University um is a very diverse university because I get to meet lots of international students, as you can see here. People from Eswatini, people from Malawi, people from India, from the Philippines, from um, Paraguay, from, of course, Indonesians too, and then from Korea, from the US, from Germany, from so many different countries. And even because my major is English, so that's why at first, like on the top right picture, it was me with my friends in the same year. So yeah, they were my first few friends, and they talked to me. We talk in English even until now too. Okay, now what about the government policy about English learning in Indonesia? Unfortunately, I cannot really say anything about the policy in my country. But we have this slogan. I will read it in Indonesian first. Utamakan bahasa Indonesia, lestarikan bahasa daerah, pelajari bahasa asing. What does it mean? Prioritize Indonesian language, the language, yeah. And then we need to um wait, sorry, I suddenly forgot the word, but it's the meaning is to keep the traditional languages, the Aboriginal languages, uh the traditional languages alive. And then the third one, learn foreign language. And one of them is obviously English. So they want us to always talk in Indonesia, but not to forget our own uh, traditional languages. But at the same time, they also want us to study, to learn, or at least just to know foreign languages, where one of them is obviously English. Okay, now I want to talk about the challenges of learning English in Indonesia. The first one, obviously, about the resource gap. Even though I say many people in Indonesia know knows how to speak English, but still we have a very huge gap between schools in developed areas in underdeveloped areas. It is still quite large. Second, about the lack of qualified English teachers. I feel like not only qualified teachers, but also qualified English teachers. Even though most of the time we only have non native English teachers, that doesn't mean that you can hire someone who are not qualified to be an English teacher, right? So, yeah, I do believe that there are still many schools that lack qualified English teachers. For me, okay, based on my experience in my school, we don't really have, I mean, I did learn English, like study English with an actual English teacher, like a qualified one back in my senior high school years. But other than that, no. Even though they know how to speak English, their backgrounds are not in English teaching. So that's why even in my school, even in a private school, we still lack of qualified English teachers. And then the third one, lack of support from stakeholders. I feel like the support from parents, the community, and the private sector for English language education still needs to be improved. Otherwise, we won't have more qualified English teachers. We won't have students who really want to students who really want to improve their English. I mean, if this, let's say the parents don't send them to the cram schools, then if they don't have the passion to learn English, then what can you do? At least try to send them to the cram schools, so one day they will realize, oh, I also need to learn this foreign language for my own sake. And I have also three recommendations about the English learning in Indonesia. First of all, because I don't really know what's the government policy for this, so that's why I feel like I know that we really lack of these considerations, and I feel like to increase the budget allocation for English language education is the first and foremost thing that I can recommend. The second one, to conduct ongoing English teacher training, so we have more qualified English teachers, right? And the third one, to increase stakeholder participation. If we don't really have people who are passionate in English, maybe we won't have those stakeholders who can really help us in improving the English learning process. And that's all from me. I really want to appreciate your time, Professor, to watch my video because I know this is long and I really tried to make this video in one single take. And I really hope that I can share that you will have more insights about at least my country and also the English learning in my country. Once again, thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching my video. Bye bye.